All right, we're going to go ahead and get things started here. Thank you for your patience and thanks for joining us today. My name is Jason Pugh. I'm the National Sales Manager here at PHS West. At PHS West, we manufacture, well, motorized carts and equipment to help make people's jobs easier when they're doing transport of any heavy materials, supplies, or equipment. What we're going to be showing today is a few of our pieces of equipment that do just that, help people with transporting heavy items. Just kind of a brief history on PHS. We've been around for just under 25 years now, or just around 25 years now, doing what we do. We first started working with endoscopy departments with doing the motorized transport of their equipment to and from patients when they have acute bedside cases. Over the years, what ended up happening is different departments within hospitals would see what the endoscopy department is doing and would say, I'm jealous, I want that, can I get it? And over the years, as more and more of those departments and more of those people came talking to us and asking for those different pieces of equipment, we've grown our product line to be able to now work within healthcare itself with about 9 different departments. We do industrial work, hospitality work, and also in the data center segment. So we've got quite a wide variety and quite a wide berth of product that is able to help people to move heavy items. Today, what I'm going to be showing you is a few of our pieces of equipment that are going to be universally available or used in both the healthcare and other types of markets, as well as I have a couple pieces that are healthcare specific that I'll be showing you. So we'll start with kind of the foundation of PHS West, what it was that started us when we first came into play, and that's our motorized cart. This is what we call our 2000R. It's our motorized platform cart. This particular unit has a 23-inch wide by 44-inch long usable deck. Don't let the size of that footprint fool you, though. A big part of what we do is customization. We build every piece of equipment to each application, each customer's needs. So this platform here can be sized to whatever size is appropriate for an application. If you as a customer want us to do a build on this platform, where we provide cabinetry, shelving, racking, whatever it may be, we do that design work with you to make it so that this cart ends up being the exact design of piece of equipment that you'd like. If you have a cart that you like, that you use already, however, you just don't like the idea of people having to physically push it around, we can build a platform that's sized to match your existing cart, have that sent out to you. Once it's received at your facility, all you have to do is remove the wheels off of your existing cart, and that can be mounted onto our platform. So now your cart that you're already using is a motorized piece of equipment. Operationally, the units themselves are pretty simple. On the controls here, it's a key switch operated unit. So turn the key off, power turns off, turn the key on, power turns on. We've got the ability to have a horn that will sound when you travel, or we can have that horn turned off. And the horn will make noise in both forward and reverse orientations, forward and reverse motions. We've got a forward and reverse button, which is what I just pressed to change the direction I was traveling. So as we pull on the throttle, we can travel either in forward or we can travel in reverse. When you are traveling, there's 2 different ways that you can control the overall speed of a unit. On this particular unit, we've got an LED stepladder that has a rabbit and a turtle. Rabbit obviously signifying fast, turtle signifying slow. We can either press and hold on the buttons for those, and the LEDs are going to change as far as an LED stepladder for the overall speed that we're set, or we can press to change our overall speed. Now, what that overall speed setting is going to do is it's going to control how fast we can go as a whole, as a maximum speed. However, it's not going to control how fast we are going to travel within that speed. Traveling within the speed is taken care of by the throttle. So it's a throttle-based system, And on either side of the control head, we have a lever, which is our throttle. The further we engage that throttle lever, the faster we will travel within the speed that we have set. So, for example, right now I have the speed set at maximum speed. If I just engage the throttle lightly and don't pull very far on it, we will go nice and slow as we travel. If I'd like to go faster, all I have to do is engage the throttle further and I can start to go faster. If I want to change my orientation and drive in reverse, I can do that as well. And again, I can go nice and slow, or I can engage the throttle further to go faster. So it's very user-friendly, very responsive in that regard. So as you are becoming a more and more experienced operator, you'll be able to maybe potentially work yourself up to where you're always operating like I do. I always operate with the speed control at full speed. Again, that doesn't mean I'm always operating at full speed. I use a lot of car analogies when I talk about our equipment. Think of the overall speed control as the governor and the throttle as the gas pedal. So the faster I want to go down a highway, around congested area, curves, things like that, I just ease off the gas. Right here, this blue button, this is our emergency stop button. Anytime that you are engaging the throttle, you're going to be traveling. Anytime you're not engaging the throttle, the brake is going to be engaged. So right now, if I try to press on the cart itself without pulling the throttle, the brake is engaged. If I drive and then I release the throttle, the brake will engage. If I need the cart, however, to come to a very fast and sudden stop, that's what this emergency stop is going to do for us. So as we're traveling, if I press that emergency stop, it brings the cart to an immediate stop. It's not going to travel any further until I release the throttle and then re-engage it. We also affectionately call this blue button the belly button stop switch. Ultimately, it depends on how tall you are as to whether it hits your belly or your rib, maybe. But if you, for some reason, find yourself in a scenario where you back yourself into a corner and you forget to change your direction of the control speed, you can have that hit your belly, and it's not going to keep driving and pin you up against a wall or try and drive and run you over. Again, I still have the throttle engaged at this point. If I release and re-engage, now I start to drive. This particular model of cart, if you'll notice, has 6 wheels on it. The drive wheels are positioned in the center of the cart, creates a center pivot point. So it gives us a nice short turning radius. One of the big things that we find with healthcare customers is that space is always at a premium. And being able to fit a cart or a piece of equipment anywhere in the hospital, or even be able to steer throughout a facility, becomes a challenge. So the first thing that center drive does for us is it gives us a short turning radius, so that as we are trying to maneuver around in tight spaces, we can do so very efficiently. The other thing it does for us is it allows us to have an optional feature on this cart, which is our retractable drive. So again, we've got our 6 wheels on the cart. The 4 corner casters are all free swivel. The drive wheels are only traveling in a forward reverse motion. If I press a button or turn off a key, there's a lift up and lift down button here. If I press the lift up button, if we watch that center drive wheel, what's going to end up happening is it's going to lift up off the floor. Kind of like landing gear in an airplane would, or if you're in healthcare, like what a 5th wheel in a stretcher will do. Now that that drive wheel is up off the floor and completely free, there's no brakes on the cart, which means I can move the cart any direction I want manually. So when it comes to getting into tight spaces and being able to maneuver within a tight area, the cart is very adept to doing that, especially even with parking. So for example, this cart from bumper to bumper is 53 and a quarter inches long. If I wanted to park this cart in a 53.5 inch wide parking spot, I can do so simply by lifting up the drive wheel and sliding it sideways into that position. When it is time to drive again, I'm going to press that down button. The drive wheel is going to go back down to the floor. Now our brake is engaged again, and we aren't going to travel anywhere. We've got that center pivot point. The real benefit that you get with motorization in general is, again, that not having to manually push pull. Typically when somebody asks me why would I get something motorized, or when they tell me why they look to get something motorized, it's usually one of two reasons that people typically look, and a third one that they don't realize until after the fact. The most glaring and obvious reason to get something motorized is, number one, safety. You now have the ability for one person to safely move more weight in a more efficient manner, which we'll get to in the second point. But quite literally, if this cart, which this cart has a 1,500 pound weight capacity, our Tugs and some of our other carts do get up to 5,000 pound weight capacity, so don't worry about that. But if I even had a 5,000 pound capacity or 5,000 pounds of material that I was moving, I could quite literally move all of that with one finger. So that's the safety aspect, the safety benefit that you get out of having motorization. The next thing as to why people look to get motorization is efficiency. Because I now have one person that can safely transport more or more in a safe manner, I no longer need that second person, potentially third person to do the transport, or a second or third trip to do that transport. So it's allowing me as a department, as an employee, to do my job more efficiently in the fact that I'm saving time from other people or myself having to make additional trips. So that's our motorized cart. Next piece I'm going to show you is our motorized tug. Motorized tug is a device that's designed to be able to connect to something and pull it. This is our classic design of our tug. It's a Collar Model 4000S. Just like the cart, same controls. Key switch on and off, overall speed control, horn, forward, reverse, emergency stop. Those lift buttons don't do anything on the tug, but we don't need to worry about that. Throttle control device, just like the cart as well. Set our overall speed and control how fast we'd like to travel within that speed using the throttle. Coming off the backside of the tug, currently we have what we call our universal hitch assembly, this piece here. What this does is this allows us to be able to grab onto any variety of carts. We call it the universal hitch assembly because it's quite universal to a number of types of carts. It's a gas strut that goes up inside of this vertical post here. We have a plate on the end with forked teeth on it, which if you have a cart that has some kind of a lip that comes down off the bottom of it, that's going to engage with these teeth and allow you to pull. The way we go about grabbing that is we just lower this piece here, and that gas strut's going to naturally raise that piece up to grab onto the lip of the cart. If there's adjustments that need to be made within the hitch plate itself, we can do that. If there's different types of attachment mechanisms that we need to work with your cart, we do that as well. Again, going back to when we talked about the carts, everything we build is built to each customer's application. This gooseneck arm on this particular piece has the ability to pivot up to 230 degrees. So as you're traveling throughout a facility, if you have some real tight corners that you're looking to make, this is going to allow your cart to be able to track along with you very nicely. Think of the transport of this like this being a vehicle or a semi pulling a trailer. And you still have the ability to get that real tight turning radius with it because of the way that this particular hitch mechanism works. The blue device that we see off the top of it here, this is a coupling hitch. What this does is we have a lot of customers that often ask about pulling more than one cart at a time. So this particular coupling device, which we have a few coupling devices, allow you to be able to link multiple carts that would have an open top to them. Think of like a linen bin in a healthcare environment, or just kind of a bin type cart, where all you have to do is just slip this piece over the top of it, and it allows you to have the first cart linking to the second cart, and thus allowing you to pull more than one cart at one time. So again, we get that efficiency gain by having the ability for one person to be able to safely transport multiple carts. Now, when it comes to the question of why would I get a tug versus why would I get a cart? It's a very common question I get. And really the answer to that is, what is it that you're looking to transport and how do you go about transporting it? So at PHS, what we do is we take kind of a consultative approach to every application. We ask questions about what it is that you're moving, how you do it, the composition of the carts themselves, the terrain that you're working with. We take kind of a holistic approach to being able to provide for you the right solution. Quite often, the easy answer to a cart versus a tug would be if you have a specific task or a specific cart that you're looking to be able to make power drive. That's when a cart is going to come in to be usually the most the best answer for you, because a cart is going to be a single dedicated motorized piece that's going to do that one specific task or that one specific function. If you have a large volume of carts or a variety of carts that you're looking to move, that's when typically a tug is going to be the right solution for you. Because the tug, again, with the customization that we do with the hitch system, it gives you the ability to have one motorized unit that has the ability to pull any variety of types of carts that you would have. So let's say, for example, you're looking to move 30 carts. Well, it's not very cost effective to get 30 motorized platform carts, whereas it would be cost effective to get one, maybe two, maybe more motorized tugs that can connect to and pull any of those carts. So this is our classic tug, 4000S. Stepping up to kind of what we have as our newer design for our tug, this is our model 4000 SLH. You'll notice the control on this is a little bit different than the other control. It's a little bit more of a simplified version. This works really well in cases where this design of tug itself works really well in cases where you're working with pulling carts that do not have any directionally locking wheels. So again, looking back at that car pulling a trailer, truck pulling a semi style that the 4000S has, in order for that to work, in order for the tracking of your cart to work well with that tug, you need to have directional locking wheels on it, or fixed directional wheels, one of the two, so that as you go around corners, your cart doesn't continue to swing. With the 4000 SLH, we answer the question of how do we work with carts that do not have directional locking wheels. So on the back side of the tug, we've got this arm that extends out and these forks that come off of a plate. What this is designed to do is, for this arm with a wheel that is a fixed directional locking or a fixed directional wheel, what this does is this wheel acts as the directional wheel for your cart that we would be pulling. So we connect the cart, it comes up real close to the tug, and then these forks that are actually on here, just like how on the 4000S version, we had that gas strut that helps to lift up to grab onto the cart that you'd be pulling. These forks have the ability to lift up via an electric actuator. On the control assembly itself, there's a button over here. It's got a simple up-down arrow on it. When we press the up button, those forks will raise up. And they're going to lift up in order to be able to grab onto the cart that we're pulling. When we press the down button, those forks go down. So we're able to drop and release the cart that we're pulling. There's quite a bit of adjustability within these as well. On the plate that's in the back here, there are multiple height and width options that we can work with for the carts that we're going to be pulling. These particular fork teeth themselves have the ability to have multiple options as far as how deep we grab onto the cart. So depending on the depth of the lip that we're working with, the height of the casters that we're working with in order to get to the base of your cart, there's a lot of flexibility within this design itself right here. And then again, talking about how we build each of our pieces of equipment to each application's needs. If there was something different we needed as far as a fork device here, we would build that to work with your existing cart as well. As you travel with this particular unit, we've got ourselves a real tight turning radius. One thing that we've learned through working with healthcare is, again, as I'd mentioned, space is always a premium. So being able to have that tight turning radius, that ability to maneuver really well within small spaces is something that we kind of specialize in. And with this particular tug, the 4000 SLH, there's definitely no shortage of that. The controls, as I mentioned, are a little bit different than the previous controls we saw on the 2000, the motorized cart, or the 4000S. Just a little more simplified, still a key switch operated. We still have forward and reverse. This time, though, it switches to a toggle switch for forward and reverse. And for the overall speed, it goes to a speed dial as opposed to an LED step ladder push button. Still the emergency stop for when we need to come to a stop in a hurry. But again, anytime that we are not engaging the throttle, the brake will automatically engage on all of our units so that the unit stops and will not travel unless I'm engaging the throttle. And just like with the cart and the cart in the previous tug, the further I engage the throttle, the faster I'm going to travel within the speed that I have set. With all of our motorized units, when it comes to charging and batteries, they all plug into a standard 120 outlet, so no need to get a special particular plug for how you work with them. All of the chargers are on board, so it's just a cord that comes from the unit that you plug, so no needing to worry about getting extension cords or having different charging stations, if you will. The batteries themselves that we use are a zero memory battery, and the charger is a smart charger. Think of it like, again, using car analogies, like a gas tank and a gas pump. The gas in your gas tank, if you drain your tank all the way down to empty or to half full, if you fill yourself up with gas at half full versus a quarter full, it's not going to affect the lifetime of your gas tank. That's the way the batteries work for this as well. You don't need to drain the batteries all the way down to empty before filling them back up. In fact, it's going to give your batteries more life if you keep them charged more often. The charger is going to be just like a gas pump. When you go to the gas station and you put the pump in your tank, you turn it on, you walk away from it, and when your tank is full, then the pump will shut off automatically. The charger is going to do that same thing for you. So that's about that for those. At this point, there would be normally some questions that might come up, but we are on a version where we don't have questions. By all means, do please feel free to type in some questions if you're attending and have some questions for us. Otherwise, what I'm going to do at this point now is I'm going to do a little shifting of gears, going from our general transport, which is our cart and tug, and going into our healthcare specific applications. So in speaking about healthcare, as I'd mentioned, we started as a company working with endoscopy departments, and we kind of grew from there. So that motorized platform that I showed at the top of this, that was based off of the foundation of the motorized platform that's here. But what we did back at the beginning of our company's origin was we built cabinetry very similar to this. So This is our motorized endoscopy workstation. It's kind of it is really the foundation of our company. All those same features I've already talked about: power drive, user control for the throttle and the speed and the batteries, forward, reverse. But we've also then now got our cabinetry that's going to work specifically in this particular design for an endoscopy or an OR, bronchoscopy, pulmonary type department. A department where their job is to take the department to the patient. So we've got shelving, which helps to accommodate these pieces of equipment, drawers to provide for storage. There is a lot of different design customization as well that can go into a design for these carts. So just like how we talked about with the motorized platform, how the platform size and the shelving and all that can change, think of the same kind of concept for the interior of this cart as far as how we hold the equipment and take care of the storage. On the backside of this particular design, we've got a breakaway monitor cart. What happens in a clinical application when they're using this cart is the physician is going to be on one side of a patient and having their equipment with them, and they're going to be wanting to look across from the patient in order to see what they're doing. So we have the ability for this breakaway monitor stand to come off of the cart and be positioned across the bed from a physician so they can be operating and working while looking directly forward at what they're doing as far as imaging is concerned. Very handy piece. When operating carts, typically people are going to naturally want to travel in the orientation that I'm traveling there, which is that forward motion. Now, to inject a little bit of a perspective to this, I myself, I'm not exactly what you call a tall man. I'm 5'5" on a good day. If you ask my doctor, he'll tell you I'm 5'4", but let's not believe him, okay? Let's listen to what I have to say about that. So me being 5'5", it's dang near impossible for me to see what's out in front of me on this cart. If I'm going to be driving down a hall in forward, I've got to be driving while looking to see where I'm going to make sure that I'm avoiding obstacles. That's the beauty of having the forward reverse drive function of a cart. So my preferred method, even when I am operating with just a flat platform cart, is to operate with the cart in reverse. What I do when I'm traveling in reverse is I stand off to the side of the cart so that I make sure that I'm not going to run over my ankle. I stand just about a half a step in front of the cart to make it so that my arm is at a good, comfortable resting position. I stand tall. I stand tall to make it so that I'm not mentally trying to pull this cart, because it's a mental reminder that the cart is power drive, and I can quite literally move the cart with one finger. And I switch my analogy from talking about cars to having this be like walking a dog. This is now my 10-year-old dog that I've taken with me on a walk almost every day of its life for 10 years. I know this dog's walk, this dog knows my walk. All I have to do is hold onto that leash, stand tall, and I walk right along with my dog. Now, when I do that, I have a full clear field of vision as far as what's in front of me. So when it comes to that height disadvantage that I have the ability to not let that be a concern when it comes to what is in front of me and safety concerns and safety aspects. Now, again, this is my preferred method, even if I don't have a cart that has things built up onto it, because for me, it's just more comfortable. So one of the benefits you get with having that forward and reverse drive function. Next piece of equipment I'm going to show you, again, talking healthcare specific, is our motorized dialysis cart. Now, the dialysis department does a lot of the same types of functions as what the endoscopy department does. They basically have to bring the department to the patient. Now, their equipment is a little bit different than what the endo department does, but the concept itself remains the same. Motorized platform that has the ability to hold customer equipment. And in this particular case, we're holding a hemodialysis machine, a carbon block filter setup, and some pre-filters, as well as a reverse osmosis system. To break it down into what a dialysis department would call this, is they would call this their water treatment and their dialysis machine. When traveling to patients, just like we've already mentioned a couple of times here, space is always at a premium. That retractable drive function that I talked about at the beginning, the mid-mount drive function that I talked about at the beginning, those are things that we do to help combat some of those space concerns. One of the things that we have that's real nice in our dialysis cart, as well as a design that we have with our endoscopy cart, what I had just shown you, is the ability for the carts to travel completely together. But when it comes to getting into a tight space, we can separate the two pieces, which allows us to have our dialysis machine positioned really close to our patient, or if we're doing an endoscopy application, it allows us to have our supplies and our storage separated from the motorized cart. And then we can have our water treatment case, in this particular case, be positioned near our water source. Gives us the ability to then have two smaller footprints inside of a tight patient room. Something that a dialysis department really likes to see, as well as our endoscopy departments. When it's time to travel after a case, it's real simple to work with these. You basically just push the two pieces together, and they have a rigid hitching system on it, which allows the two pieces to seamlessly travel together as one cart. When it's time to go then, we can simply drive away. Now again, I'm not the tallest. So when it does come to traveling, even with this dialysis cart, I would still prefer to travel in that reverse orientation. So with that, that's a long-winded version of me saying PHS West makes motorized equipment. Motorized carts and motorized tugs to help make it so that you as a staff member or your staff or whoever may be within your facility doesn't have to put as much strain and stress and pain into their daily activities. Now, if you're still with us from the beginning, you'll notice that I mentioned that there's 3 reasons people buy. The third reason is typically the thing they see on the backside. I'd already talked about how safety is kind of the first thing people look at. So yes, it's a safe piece of equipment. It is going to make it so that somebody has a greatly reduced chance of getting injured while transporting equipment and or supplies. It's an efficient piece of equipment. It's something that's going to make it so that one person can do more with less resources, be it time or additional people. The third reason why people typically buy our equipment, and it's the thing that they don't even think about on the front side, but they recognize it on the back side, and that is employee satisfaction. My job pre-COVID was to travel all around the country and to work with our customers and to visit with them, doing training, doing demonstrations, doing presentations like this. And the most common thread that I see when it comes to working with existing customers is the satisfaction and joy that the staff members have because of our equipment, both in working with it and because of the result that they get. That employee satisfaction that they end up getting is they no longer at the end of the day go home and sit down on the couch and don't want to do anything. They no longer have pains, aches, joints that are hurting because they're not having to physically push or physically pull equipment and or supplies throughout their facility. So safety, efficiency, and employee satisfaction. Those are going to be the three biggest benefits that you're going to gain from looking at and implementing motorized drive within your facility. So with that, I thank you for joining us. We're going to stay live here for a few minutes just to make sure that if there are any questions that people have, that we have time to answer them. We are on a delay, as I had mentioned in my email, from what I'm doing to what you're seeing. So I'm just going to position the equipment around here, drive around a little bit, have some fun with it. And if there are any questions, feel free to ask.